Hello, welcome to the Peter Repeater. This is a broadcast from Peter, and I will be on the main video very soon. So, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy this live stream. I'm just gonna save this and just be happy with what I've done and everything. So that's all right. Okay, so thank you all for watching. This is the Peter Repeater. I've got it working. I've got some sort of success with the live stream. I just check that it's up and running and working correctly because this is something that this is okay. Thank you very much. This is Peter just doing what I can. So I am in 720p. I am in high definition. And that's all I'm going to say is that I'm very pleased to say this is the Peter Repeater podcast, episode 56, and I'm really enjoying my time here. So, right, let's shut this down. And I'm very happy that I'm going all very well. So, right, here's a question. If Christianity is the way, and the way is Christianity, why do I see the colour yellow and other people see the colour yellow and we're all seeing the colour yellow, but there's an agreement on the colour yellow, the word yellow, and the colour we see, but there's no way of proving that we see the same colour because it could be red for somebody, which means it's yellow for someone else. You would assume that if Christianity is the way and the way is Christianity, then that means that we're all created in the image of God and we can all be fairly content that all the yellows are the same. And if you don't believe in God, then all the yellows might be different. Everything gets untwined. If there's no meaning in the world, if there's no uniform creation, everything's subjective, everything's a perception, then you can really get to struggle a little bit with the whole scenario of is there a God? Is Christianity the way and is it not the way? So the biggest question I find is this is very important. Is there a God? And I would say you want to act as if there is a God. You want to live your life aiming toward a higher purpose and the collaborative effort on your part to aspire and achieve the higher purpose is the best way to learn and thrive in this world and see the color yellow as the color yellow, Christianity's way. Therefore, you should act as if there is a God, even though if you're not sure if the God exists. That's what I'm going to say. I'll just take a note of the time. So I'll stop talking at 4. Yeah, 5 rather. No, they're both wrong. Stop talking at 20 past 5. Okay, so that's all very good, and I'm very pleased with that. I try and do a 40-minute episode here and there, and it's not always successful, but it's not always not successful. So I've got this YouTube working. I'm in somewhat high definition. The audio is fine. I'm fine. Christianity is the way is Christianity. And I just really think if I act in those ways and believe in that yellow is the same for me, it's the same for you, we're part of creation and we're all part of a unified effort to aspire towards greatness and personal success and freedom and happiness and contentment. And if that whole hierarchy of attainment towards the pinnacle of a mountain where the earth meets the sky, where the material meets the transcendent, if that pinnacle has to be another way of just saying God exists, so I might as well get to the top of the mountain, doesn't really matter if God does exist because you act as if he does. And the thing I learned yesterday from listening to a Jordan Peterson book is that I found that in this book, it's the most complicated thing in the world. But one of the lessons that I got from it is that God doesn't have to be a man in the sky in the male form with a white kugel, white, robe, big beard, the size of Jupiter. He doesn't have to be a real entity in a transcendent self. He can just be as Elijah in Kings 1 and Kings 2 in the Old Testament. He can just be the small internal voice inside. And that is just another way is your inner psyche, the thing that gives you consciousness, the internal voice, the thing you aspire to, the thing that you aim at and try and better yourself towards, the theoretical thing that you live your life for. If that's God, there's no distinguishing that from being God in the Bible and God in real life. And is there anything more real than your own psyche and the goal and the pinnacle of the mountain? Is there anything more real than your own consciousness? So to say that your consciousness isn't God's is unhelpful if you're trying to prove an existence of God, because all our collective psyches and consciousness give rise to the same deity, but some people just take it for granted, and others like me just really believe that that is just a interchangeable statement. My inner self, my own aspirations, that is basically God. And the collective aim of a society, in a religious sense, is the collective aim, the collective goal towards good and order. If that means believing in God, then I'm all for it. But if God has to be a man in the sky, a person that you don't see, then it can become difficult. And this is where you get to the difficult part of what we all know as Jesus Christ, because that is the theoretical voice of God being your own inner voice, the small inner consciousness, your own psyche that you listen to, pay attention, live by. If that is God and that is embodied into a real person in 2000 years ago, it's Jesus Christ, and Jesus is God, then the man in the sky isn't a man in the sky because all of a sudden Jesus is the man, so to speak, of the transcendent, of the divine. He is the deity in human form. So for that to be the case is a real sense of challenge, because how on earth does a human get born into this world believing that they're a god and transcending reality? And if God is the aspiration towards good, and then there's a man that was born that had more goodness in him and more ability to aspire towards good and the most ability to lead people to a better life, because you can't say that Jesus hasn't been influential in leading people to a better life, even later on, 2000 years later. It, you just all to say is that if the best human at aspiring goodness and aspiring goodness in yourself and inspiring goodness to others, if that best person of the inner voice that lived and had an awakening from birth, if that is God, your inner voice, your own self psyche, your own consciousness, if the God within is can be described as your own aim and journey towards good, if that hierarchy of consciousness is that's God, and then God is present in the most extraordinary way in one man, and he has an unparalleled way to the awakening and to the knowledge and to the way you should live your life. If he has a link towards God and he's a man, then it's not a big step to say he is God in human form. And we can say in a lesser extent, this might be blasphemy for some, but in a lesser extent, we can say we're all God in human form. And the most God in human form is a person we can point to follow, so we can desire to live in human form. Because some people might say that you need to really change how you perceive life to believe in a God and to believe in Jesus. But actually, the technicalities of following Jesus, getting saved by him, and believing in God isn't a case of lying to yourself. It's more of a case of being open to the idea and sort of living by that ethos. And then it becomes clear that that is a good way to live. And if godness is goodness, and you'll get driving more goodness living a Christian life than you are without it, and you're opening yourself to God, then it isn't a very big tangential step to go from I'm living a godly good life and my consciousness is God in a smaller sense, as God is the collective consciousness of us in the universe. And then to go from that to also saying, well, the teachings from the past ancient theologians, religious leaders, and disciples, and um, mercenaries, and I don't know what the word is, but just like people that devote their life to attaining such a goodness, and following that, and you see a goodness in your own life, and then you say Jesus died on the cross and came back to life. Does it actually technically matter if Jesus died and came back to life, if we can read it in the Bible, live by their teachings and being saved and bettering yourself and being absolved of your sins, and if you follow the teachings and understand the importance of sacrifice and blessings and all of that, and you understand how good that teaching is in the Bible and how living by that whole way of thinking, even if the thinking is wrong, then it doesn't matter if Jesus actually died and came back to life. But the thing is, what is reality? Because if you live a life thinking the biblical text as God's word, and if you think in life as Christianity being the way, and you think in life as Jesus being the Son of God and Jesus resurrecting, and if you think that way and your life is better because of it, and the whole point of consciousness is aspiring to good, then is there not a more sense of reality than that? Of if God died and came back to life is a technicality to believing God died and came back to life. The technicalities of reality aren't so much the physical sense of what happened in the Bible. If you come to your own conclusion that what happened in the Bible makes sense and is true and aligns with your own consciousness, your own divinity, and aligns with your reality and live a better life because of it, then that is reality. And a science experiment of putting heart rate monitor on a guy from 2000 years ago and seeing whether he still had oxygen to the brain for the 3 days in the tomb, and whether what did he actually die, or technicalities of how we perceive facts and the factual evidence of Jesus dying, coming back to life, isn't reality as much as the testimonial evidence of Jesus dying, coming back to life. Like, you have to change your sense of reality to sort of tune it into the way of what actually matters. Because if I think I live a life without God, I have no meaning, I have no purpose, but I do have one fact: Jesus didn't die and come back to life. That is so much a lesser way of living than to think, oh, I live a life like Jesus come back to life, dies on the cross, come back to life, and forgiveness and all that, and the Christian reality of things. And you live that life, and it's good, and it's better, and you're living a more meaningful and purposeful life. Then that is a testimonial account of reality, and then that aligns with a fact that Jesus died and come back to life. But the fact isn't, it's really recognizing what is real, and a physical account of a scientific experiment of whether Jesus actually died and came back, and doing, double placebo controlled trials or whatever they say, you know, that is a fact. If Jesus died and come back to life, if that was a fact, people wouldn't believe it. So what is reality? It's not based on the facts. That's what I'm saying. Facts don't lead you into belief. So if your belief is the reality, and the origination of that belief is Jesus dying and come back to life, then is that not reality more than a factual account of Jesus coming back to life with no testimonial evidence that is actually good for you? So the technicalities of stories in the Bible being true is a mute point in the understanding of God, reality, purpose, meaning, and all of the above. And you just have to really consider what is reality and what actually matters. So reorganizing your thoughts into a more understandable way, you can really just think, what do I want in life? Do I want meaning? Do I want purpose? Or do I want to, you know, have a life in the facts? Because Jordan Peterson, if for nothing else, facts, there are so many different facts for every phenomena and how all the phenomena relate to each other. There's so many facts about this, that there's such a multitude of facts regarding everything that happens in our sensory perception, like fire and boiling water and oxygen and chemistry, physics, biology, so many factual things in the phenomena of the world and how they relate to each other and how they combine, how the chemistry of a reaction can lead to a biological evolutionary adaptation, and all of that factual evidence in the scientific realm as part of the alignment in the triangle of the hierarchy of what actually matters. You need to aspire to something which isn't a fact. You don't want to live your life thinking, I'm going to set my beliefs on what actually happened, because you don't derive meaning from the factual evidence of what actually happened. And Jordan Peterson says there's so many facts that you can't get anywhere with that. So you want to have your own psyche believing in a higher power so you can aspire to that higher power. And the technicalities of the higher power, does that exist? One, we don't know what the higher power is or looks like, so nobody can describe factually what that means to call it a higher power, and nobody can testify of whether the existence is there or not, because we don't know what the higher power is to start with, so you can't conclude on that. And then we don't know what the existence is and what that means. So to base your beliefs on a factual thing doesn't make any sense. You don't get from the evidence fact to the belief. What you do is you believe and then you fill in your own perception of the world based on your beliefs. So I believe that my parents know best when it comes to learning about the world. I think, how does that happen? What can I do here? And you learn that when they, you know, bring you up and raise you. So the belief is, I need to learn from others to know how the world works. And then I learn from them how the world works. And then you pass it on generation to generation. And we maintain important things of how to feed yourself, how to do all the things that we can do. Okay, so how does that? So you sort of have a belief, you have a narrative of what your core essence of the world, and then you sense and you prioritize and you focus on the facts that attain that pertain that are relevant, trying to use big words, that are just relevant to your belief system, and then you absorb them as truths. So my belief system is that I want to live a good life possible and have the most meaning, have the most purpose, better myself, reflect, explore meaning, talk to others, socialize. I want the Christian life. That is the most important thing. And it's irrelevant the facts that I perceive most likely to be true. That doesn't make any sense. I want the Christian life, therefore, I adopt the Christian viewpoint, and then from that belief system, I then fill in the facts that most um, relate to my belief system. And then you have a structured, thought process that I'm the Christian, I believe in this, and I believe in this because I'm a Christian. There's a certain sense of necessary being necessary. It exists within itself. No one actually has a faith based on facts, evidence. You have facts, evidence that can open your idea, but I guarantee you how people enter the Christianity is by believing that other people know more than you, like your parents, members of the community, grandparents, the church. You believe that other people have something to teach you, and then they teach you it, they pass it on to generation, and that is how you get your view of the world. And there's no 2-year-old out there thinking, oh, because of the teleological argument and the design of a watch, there must be a watchmaker for a watch. So as St. Augustine said in the so umpteenth century, I just believe that after having my, baby food and follow-on milk, I just really think that because of this evidence and this factual thing that I've surmised, I think that you know, I'll give Christianity a go. That's not how it works. What happens is you go to Sunday school, you learn from others ancient history, ancient truths passed on to generation that for whatever reason have survived the test of time. You just carry on with that, and then you absorb it. And then later on in life, you think, oh, I believe in all this because why? It's hard to explain. But what I'm saying is reality is not based on facts. You shouldn't base anything on facts. If you think evolution happened, you've got no way of deriving meaning from that. You just know something happened, and the technicalities of whether it happens or not doesn't make a difference. That's what I'm saying. So that's my theological rant over. You'd be pleased to know after going to my Bible study. I do apologize for other members of the people that talk to me on a day-to-day basis, because I'm like this all the time. I just, if I can't talk about that, then I just go to bed. No, no, people like me, I've got some sort of self-control into believing what's good to say and stuff from experience. Now, let's have a drink and let's ponder on the what's happening. So we're in this Zoom meeting, and says Zoom down there, and it's the best thing that's happened because I've figured out how to live stream in the best quality available. Yeah, so that's good. So, what are we doing? We are really figuring out what is the quintessential meaning of life. I just wish I had somebody to do all the technicalities of the podcast because I worry about what I'm saying, and and then I also worry, is what I'm saying actually going on to YouTube and things like that? I think I need to trust in the process, get it up and running, and do it and just do the podcast. And if it doesn't record, it doesn't record, but it always records. So if you just check it once at the start, just believe. You know, thank you, Jesus. Just believe. Okay, let's play devil's advocate and let's argue for atheism because sometimes uh, philosophy and ethics at school, writing essays, I would argue something that, I thought, what do I know more about on this question? Oh, I know a lot about atheism and the atheist authors and the thinkers of the past. So I know a few names here and I know what they said. So I'm just going to lean on that. And for this essay, I'm an atheist. And for another essay, I'm a, I'm a theist. I believe in God. So I'm very like a chameleon. I could definitely argue for God not existing. But I think what I'm saying about the whole essence of reality, I said that I'll stop talking about this, but here we go. The whole essence of reality isn't based on facts. So if God exists, doesn't matter. It doesn't make a difference to us. Because if God exists, you saying he doesn't exist doesn't change that. God doesn't exist, you saying he doesn't exist doesn't change that. So it's inconsequential to the, realities of life, whether you are factually correct in a discussion about theology, But be when you build a belief system based on these thoughts, and that belief system leads to suffering, like a life without God leads to communism. God is dead, or whatever Nietzsche says. I don't know if it's Nietzsche, but I know he's something to do with writing. Yeah, if Friedrich Nietzsche said God is dead, so there's going to be extreme communism throughout the world, and there has been, there still is, and particularly the Soviet Union in the Gulag archipelago, gulags. Many people dying. What they would do is because they want to distribute the wealth, they would take the best farmers and put them in prison, or the Russian equivalent to a concentration camp, the gulags, and they would put them in prison, and then all of a sudden there's no food. There's not enough food because you've just locked away all the best farmers with the best yields, the most amount of food being produced. So, swings and roundabouts, really. I got my Fanta. The thing I like about this podcast that I'm doing at the moment, I have no idea how many people are watching, which is probably for the best, actually. I'm in landscape. I've got nothing to complain about. I'm in 720p. The audio is fantastic. And I'm just going, I really hope this is recording because there's some good stuff in here. Yeah. I think I'm good at condensing large amounts of information into an understandable form. So I listened to an hour and a half of Jordan Peterson, We Who Wrestle with God, and then I put it into a 20-minute segment of my own interpretation. Because sometimes I don't feel very smart because I say things so simply and I get my words muddled. But I'm quite good at finding some essence of substance of what I'm saying. Yeah. And there's qualities of how good what you're saying is. If you say something that's very good quality but no one understands it, it's useless. Because Jordan Peterson, as much as he's very clever, and I can just about listen to the podcast, I mean, listen to the audiobook and sort of follow what's being said. But every sentence, he'll say a word that takes me the time of the sentence to figure out what that word means. Like he says irreducible, and I'm like, what is irreducible? What does deucible mean? And then I like a split second later, I'm thinking, oh, it's reducible, but it's the opposite of reducible. It's irreducible, can't be reduced. And by the time I figured that one out, we're into the next sentence with another word I don't understand. So Jordan Peterson is very well read, uses good words and stuff, but I'd like to get to that stage, but I don't think I will. So I'm just going to do my own thing. peternewing.com. Yeah, it's just a fact of life, really. All right, that's good. Let's drink my Fanta. It's not very good on Spotify. Not many Spotify successful people say, oh, I'm just gonna spend the next half an hour talking and then half an hour in and get a dry throat, and you're gonna hear me drink Fanta for a bit. And I would just like to say this is real Fanta, not, hand-me-downs orangeade from Tesco's. I'm drinking the real stuff, the branded Coca-Cola Fanta. 50% of my hydration of the day is fizzy drinks. The other 50% is decaffeinated coffee, sachets. And sachet is another word of saying you spend more on coffee than the average person. Well, actually, is that interesting? My coffees cost 30p each. And does the average person spend more or less than 30p on a coffee? Because if you just put a couple of spoonfuls in from a jar, okay, that's a lot cheaper. If you go to Costa, you're spending £3, £2. You're just throwing money on the coffee. And people have different philosophies because a couple of my family members were just saying, coffee is very expensive. I don't understand why would you throw away £4 a day on a coffee. But what is money for? If you can have a coffee and enjoy it, then surely that is the aim. That's the true essence of reality. I can do podcast and I'm very happy. I can have people join me because this is Zoom. Yeah, so that's all good. So I am live. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, guys. Do your own research before you put your hard-earned money in the market. These are people from cryptocurrency. I've been involved in cryptocurrency for over 4 years, and I have not much crypto, is what I will say, which is a failing on my part. But what you're gonna do? Like, I'm sat here with a laptop and a camera that's working because of, you know, not God, because of me buying the stuff. So if I had money in crypto, I wouldn't have bought the stuff. Yeah. No, I like this format. It's good. So this is all on Spotify, episode 56. I think this is the most um interesting thing I do is the podcast. I think the gaming is less interesting. The news articles, they're potential, but it's just low effort. Like a 40-minute video is just ideal, really. If I just did that every day, but every day you don't feel like it. Some days you feel like gaming, some days you feel like filming a 2-minute video. So it just swings and roundabouts, really. I just couldn't be bothered to game today, and I thought, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna do the news because I don't have any news, like World War news, because I'm not following it today. Yeah, so it's just good, really. Let's have a drink. So, all right, let's try and do another 10 minutes. So let's go into the sofa a little bit. And just like, rest. Okay. So, what am I gonna pray for? I don't know. I started having dreams again, which is good. Yeah, dreams are good and all that. Episode 56. When you type in the word 50, I mean the number 50 into the search of my videos, I've got 4 videos on my channel that have got 50 on them, meaning I've done 49 of the same type beforehand. I've got live games with Peter number 50. I've got Rocket League number 50. I've got the Peter number 50. And then I've also got, what's the other one? What have I done in the past? Live games with Peter, Rocket League, the Peter, and there's another one. Mario Kart. I got Mario Kart 50 as well. So yeah, that's my Fanta done. That's what I'm talking about. Or just center my position. Lovely stuff. So, I've got my hood on, got my microphone, got everything you need in life, apart from, most stuff. I've got stuff arriving in the post that I bought a long time ago. I've got emergency food that I'm going to have by the side of my bed, just in case we don't have any food. I've got 6 months worth of food in the garage. I'm going to have a week's worth of food in a backpack by my bed. I've got some torches, some candles, a sleeping bag, and a foil, and then like a foil that keeps like a thermal blanket. Got one of those in my. It's called a blackout backpack. It's for things you need if there's no electricity. Um, and then I'm hoping in the post one day there will be my survival backpack, which has stuff like lighting fires and cooking equipment and stuff. Yeah, so with all that, I'll just you know, really do well in life. Is that more in the center? No, it's less in the center. Yeah, I'm in the center. So, what we're doing here, we are really finding the core essence of reality. And we've had a rant about Christianity, and I don't know if you gleaned any information from that, but it's a real good thing. One interesting thought I'll leave you with is that in the Bible, there's talk in Deuteronomy and in other places that yeah, when you harvest the field, your grain and your orchards and grapes and the vineyard type thing, you always leave a little bit left over so that any fatherless, widowed, you know, poor people can go and what's that word? I don't know, it's someone else, but people that are struggling life and depend on other people, you don't harvest everything in the field so that they can come and orphaned without parents. So orphaned, widowed, fatherless. So yeah, so those people can get their leftover in the field. So because in a functioning society, when everyone can say that they have been a dependent on other people part in their life, then you should facilitate the society so that there are people that in need can have a dependency. Otherwise, you're not letting people live their life. And if the whole society can't live their life, that means each individual person over the years they exist can't live their own life. So to make any sort of sense of justice, just like on a pragmatic level, you want things to just work. So you've got to have a dependency, so benefit system where people can depend on others and really have a good life. So if you want to join me on this podcast, on this Zoom broadcast, you can join me at the Pete Repeater, ThePeterepeater, the Pete Repeater on X, on Twitter, formerly Twitter X, the Pete Repeater. And then you can also buy my book, An Unbelievable God, on Amazon. Peter Newing, Newing. And then you can also go to my website for all the links that I've mentioned on peternewing.com. peternewing.com. So that's what I'm talking about, really. I haven't had many visits on the .com, the peternewing.com, but that's all right. Okay, we'll just have a bit of a look at the comments, see if I can answer any questions. Okay, yeah, that's all right. Nobody's commented or watched, but I'm really interested in how long this has been going. Okay, it's been going fine. All right, skip the first couple of minutes. We can do that. Yeah. Okay, that's good. Thank you all for watching. This has been the Peter Repeater broadcast. Follow all my links. Follow me on Spotify. Just leave a review on the podcast. And before you know it, this podcast will be over. So till next time, this has been Peter, the Pete Repeater, the Peter Repeater. This has been good. Thank you for watching. Until next time, see you again. I'm just gonna keep talking while I figure out how to stop the broadcast because it's not always very clear. Channel. So if I just go on here, if I go big screen, let's upload a thumbnail. Upload a thumbnail, and then I'll just put in my website. And then let's save that. I actually don't know how to stop this. Bear with indeed. Okay. This has been good. All right. Until next time. Thank you for watching. Bye. Bye for now. Bye.